I am Michael, Archangel of the Most High, warrior of light, defender of souls, and I come to you now not with sword drawn, but with hands extended in recognition. I see you. In this moment, across the vastness of creation, through the veil that separates the eternal from the temporal, I see you. And I come bearing a message that your soul has been waiting lifetimes to hear. There is a wound within you, beloved one, a wound so subtle that you may have stopped noticing it years ago, so familiar that it feels like part of your identity, so quiet that it whispers rather than screams. It is the wound of being overlooked, and today, by the authority given to me by the Creator of all things, I speak directly into that hidden place where this wound has made its home. You know this wound well, though you may not have named it. It lives in the moment when you shared something important and no one acknowledged it. It lives in the childhood memory of raising your hand and never being called upon. It lives in the times you prepared something beautiful and no one noticed. It lives in the relationships where your needs went unspoken because you learned that speaking them changed nothing. It lives in the workplace where your contributions were absorbed into the collective without attribution. It lives in the family gatherings where conversations flow around you but rarely to you. It lives in the moments when you walked into a room and felt invisible, when you left a room and no one noticed, when you existed in spaces as if you were a ghost among the living. This wound of being overlooked has taught you many things, hasn't it? It has taught you to diminish yourself before others can diminish you. It has taught you to expect nothing so that disappointment loses its edge. It has taught you to celebrate others loudly while grieving your own invisibility silently. It has taught you to work twice as hard for half the recognition. It has taught you to question whether your thoughts, your feelings, your very existence truly matters. It has taught you to become small, to take up less space, to apologize for your presence, to laugh when you want to cry, to agree when you want to object, to fade when you want to shine. The wound of being overlooked has been a cruel teacher, and you have been a diligent student. But I come to tell you that this wound, this deep and hidden wound, is not the truth of who you are. It is not a reflection of your worth. It is not evidence of your insignificance. It is not proof that you are meant to live in the shadows of others. This wound is a lie that has wrapped itself around your identity so tightly that you have forgotten where the wound ends and you begin. And today, in this sacred moment, I bring the light of heaven to bear upon this darkness. I bring the truth of the eternal realm to confront the lies of the temporal one. I bring the perspective of one who has watched over you since before your first breath, who has celebrated every moment of your existence, who has never, not for one single second, overlooked you. Let me tell you what I see when I look at you, beloved child of the Most High. I see a soul crafted with intentionality, designed with purpose, formed with divine attention to every detail. I see someone who carries gifts that the world desperately needs, even if the world has been too blind to recognize them. I see someone whose quiet strength has held together more situations than anyone will ever know. I see someone whose presence has brought peace to rooms full of chaos, even though no one thought to thank you for it. I see someone whose insights have sparked ideas in others who took credit for them. I see someone whose emotional labor has sustained relationships, families, and communities while remaining invisible to those who benefited from it. I see the child you were, eager and bright, full of ideas and enthusiasm, slowly learning to dim that light because brightness attracted criticism or indifference. I see the teenager you became, navigating the complex social hierarchies, realizing that some people are seen and celebrated while others are furniture in the background of someone else's story. I see the adult you have grown into, competent and capable, moving through the world with efficiency, while a part of you still waits to be truly seen. I see the secret dreams you carry, the ones you barely admit to yourself, because hoping feels dangerous when you've been disappointed so many times. I see the moments you almost spoke up, but didn't, The times you almost asked for what you needed but retreated. The instances where you almost believed you mattered, but the wound whispered otherwise. This wound of being overlooked has many roots, beloved one. Some of them reach back into your childhood, into family systems where attention was a scarce resource, competed for and rarely shared equally. Perhaps you had siblings whose needs were louder or whose crises were more dramatic. Perhaps you had parents who were overwhelmed, absent, or emotionally unavailable. Perhaps you learned early that being easy, being low maintenance, being the one who didn't need anything was the way to receive whatever love was available. Perhaps you were praised for being independent, for not being a burden, for being mature beyond your years, and you learned to translate that praise correctly as it truly meant. Be invisible unless we call for you. Some roots of this wound extend into your educational experiences, into classrooms where certain types of intelligence were celebrated while others were dismissed. Perhaps you were the student who understood deeply but didn't perform well on tests. Perhaps you were creative in an environment that valued conformity. Perhaps you were quiet in a system that rewarded the loud. Perhaps you were thoughtful in spaces that moved too quickly for reflection. Perhaps you were different in ways that made you easy to overlook because you didn't fit the template of what was expected or valued. Some roots grow from your social experiences, from friendships where you were always the listener, never the one whose story took center stage. From romantic relationships where you accommodated and adapted until your own needs became background noise. From work environments where your contributions were expected rather than appreciated, where doing your job well meant you were overlooked while problems got attention. From communities where you served faithfully but invisibly, where your absence might eventually be noticed, but your presence was simply assumed. And some roots, beloved one, go even deeper than this lifetime. Some of you carry soul-level patterns of being overlooked, karmic cycles of invisibility that have played out across multiple incarnations. Some of you volunteered for roles of service in the spiritual realms that translated into patterns of self-diminishment in the physical realm. Some of you are old souls who have learned to operate from the background, and that wisdom has calcified into a wound that says you belong in the background. But I tell you now, by the authority of the Most High, that wound is not wisdom. That pattern is not your destiny. That cycle ends here in this moment if you choose to let it. The wound of being overlooked doesn't just hurt in the moments when you're actively being dismissed or ignored. It hurts in all the ways you've learned to protect yourself from that hurt. It hurts in how you've become hypervigilant, reading every room for signs that you matter or don't matter, analyzing every interaction for evidence of your worth or lack thereof. It hurts in how you've learned to give compulsively, hoping that if you give enough, serve enough, help enough, somehow you'll be seen. It hurts in how you've learned to hide your light, your gifts, your brilliance. Because past experience taught you that shining made you a target or set you up for disappointment when no one celebrated what you revealed. It hurts in the ways you've learned to numb yourself, to care less, to expect nothing, to tell yourself it doesn't matter anyway. It hurts in how you've confused humility with self-erasure, how you've mistaken meekness for making yourself small, how you've interpreted spiritual teachings about ego as commandments to disappear. It hurts in the perfectionism you've developed, believing that if you could just be better enough, smarter enough, more useful enough, then finally you would be seen. It hurts in the comparison that plagues you, the constant measuring of yourself against those who seem effortlessly visible, wondering what they have that you lack. This wound has cost you so much, hasn't it? It has cost you opportunities you didn't pursue because you didn't think you'd be chosen anyway. It has cost you relationships you didn't fight for because you assumed the other person would pick someone else. It has cost you dreams you abandoned because you couldn't bear another disappointment. It has cost you your voice in moments when speaking up could have changed everything. It has cost you your joy because celebrating yourself felt like arrogance when no one was celebrating with you. It has cost you your peace, because you've spent so much energy trying to be seen that you forgot how to simply be. But I come with good news, beloved one. This wound, as deep as it runs, as long as you've carried it, as much as it has shaped your life, is not beyond healing. The God who formed you in the secret place, who knit you together with intentionality and love, who has never stopped seeing you, has sent me to you in this hour with a message of restoration. You are not overlooked by heaven. You have never been overlooked by heaven. And the healing that begins here will teach you that the opinions of those who overlooked you were never the measure of your worth. The first step in healing this wound is to grieve what being overlooked has cost you. You have permission to acknowledge the pain. You have permission to feel angry about the injustice of it. You have permission to mourn the years you spent believing you were less than others simply because they were more visible. For too long, you've minimized this pain, telling yourself it wasn't that bad, that others have had it worse, that you're being too sensitive, that you should just get over it. But I tell you now, your pain is valid. Your experience is real. Your wound deserves acknowledgement, not dismissal. Give yourself permission to grieve the recognition you deserved but didn't receive, the acknowledgement that should have come but didn't, the appreciation you earned but never got. Let yourself feel the sadness of it, the anger of it, the frustration of it. This is not self-pity. This is honest accounting, and it is necessary for healing. The second step is to recognize and renounce the agreements you made because of this wound. When you were overlooked repeatedly, you made agreements with that experience. You agreed that you were forgettable. You agreed that others were more important. You agreed that your needs didn't matter. You agreed that your voice wasn't worth hearing. You agreed that your presence wasn't significant. You agreed that you were meant to serve in the shadows. You agreed that asking for recognition was selfish. You agreed that expecting to be seen was asking too much. These agreements were survival mechanisms, ways of managing the pain of invisibility, but they have become prisons that keep you locked in patterns of being overlooked. Today, you can break these agreements. You can say, I renounce the agreement that I am forgettable. I renounce the agreement that I am less important than others. I renounce the agreement that my needs don't matter. I renounce the agreement that I should remain invisible. By the power of the Most High God, I break every agreement I made with being overlooked. The third step is to begin seeing yourself the way heaven sees you. This is perhaps the most challenging step because the wound of being overlooked has distorted your self-perception. You've internalized the oversight of others as truth about yourself. But I invite you now to consider a different perspective. What if the people who overlooked you were simply blind? What if their inability to see you was their limitation, not your lack? What if the systems that rendered you invisible were broken, not you? What if the families, the schools, the workplaces, the communities that failed to recognize you were operating from scarcity and dysfunction, not from accurate assessment of your worth? The God who created you doesn't make mistakes. You are not an afterthought. You are not a background character in someone else's story. You are a beloved child of the Most High, created with purpose, called by name, known completely, and treasured eternally. Let me speak directly to the lies that this wound has planted in your mind. The wound says you are forgettable. The truth is you are unforgettable to the one who matters most. The wound says you don't have anything valuable to offer. The truth is you carry gifts that the world needs, whether or not the world has recognized them yet. The wound says you are meant to stay in the background. The truth is you are called to step into the fullness of who you were created to be, not in arrogance, but in obedience to your divine purpose. The wound says asking to be seen is selfish. The truth is that false humility serves no one, and your visibility might be exactly what gives others permission to be seen too. The wound says you've been overlooked because you deserve to be overlooked. The truth is you've been overlooked because we live in a broken world, full of broken people, operating from broken systems, and their blindness has nothing to do with your worth. The fourth step in healing is to practice being seen in small, safe ways. This wound has taught you to hide, to diminish, to disappear. Healing requires you to reverse those patterns slowly and gently. Start by allowing yourself to be seen by God. Pray with the awareness that you have His full attention. Speak to Him knowing that He listens intently. Share your heart with the confidence that every word matters to Him. Then extend this practice to safe people in your life. Share something true about yourself with someone you trust. State a need clearly. Speak an opinion without apologizing for it. Take up space in a conversation. Let your expertise be known. Accept a compliment without deflecting it. These small acts of visibility will feel terrifying at first. The wound will scream at you to retreat, to hide, to make yourself small again. But as you practice being seen in safe contexts, you'll build new neural pathways, new patterns, new expectations. You'll remember what it feels like to exist fully without apology. The fifth step is to stop abandoning yourself in pursuit of being seen by others. This is a pattern many of you with this wound have developed. You contort yourself into shapes you think others will notice. You give compulsively, hoping generosity will earn recognition. You overwork, overperform, overdeliver, believing that if you just do enough, finally you'll matter to someone. But this approach is exhausting and ultimately futile, because you cannot earn from others what they are incapable of giving. And more importantly, every time you abandon your own needs, your own truth, your own boundaries in pursuit of external validation, you confirm to yourself that you don't matter. You reenact the original wound. The healing comes when you choose to see yourself even when others don't, when you honor your own needs even when no one is paying attention, when you celebrate your own accomplishments even in the absence of external recognition, when you become the witness to your own life that you've been waiting for others to be. The sixth step is to forgive those who overlooked you. This is not about excusing their behavior or pretending it didn't hurt. This is about releasing the energetic cord that binds you to their blindness. As long as you're waiting for them to finally see you, to apologize, to acknowledge what they missed, you're still giving them power over your sense of worth. Forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is for you. It is the decision to stop letting their oversight define your reality. It is the choice to release them from a debt they likely don't even know they owe. When you forgive, you're not saying what they did was okay. You're saying their behavior no longer gets to control your life. You're taking back the power you gave away when you believed their version of you was true. Some of you will need to forgive parents who were too preoccupied to see you. Some will need to forgive siblings who took up all the space. Some will need to forgive friends who only called when they needed something. Some will need to forgive partners who took you for granted. Some will need to forgive systems that rendered you invisible. And some of you will need to forgive yourselves for internalizing their oversight as truth about who you are. As you walk through these steps of healing, understand that this is not a linear process. You will have moments of breakthrough followed by moments where the old wound feels as fresh as ever. You will have days when you stand fully in your worth and days when you question whether you matter at all. This is normal. This is part of healing. The wound of being overlooked was carved deep over many years. It will not disappear overnight. But with each small step toward seeing yourself truthfully, with each choice to honor your own needs, with each moment you resist the urge to make yourself small, you are healing. You are changing. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be before the wound taught you to be less. I want to speak now to the specific pain of being overlooked in your family of origin. For many of you, this is where the wound began. Perhaps you were the middle child in a large family, easy to lose in the shuffle. Perhaps you were the quiet one while a sibling was loud and demanding. Perhaps you were the responsible one who never caused problems, which meant your parents could focus their attention elsewhere. Perhaps you were the child whose needs were less obvious, less urgent, less dramatic, so they got addressed last if at all. Perhaps you had a sibling with special needs, medical issues, or behavioral challenges, and you learned early that your role was to be easy, to not add to the burden, to take care of yourself. Perhaps you had parents who were dealing with their own trauma, addiction, mental illness, or overwhelming life circumstances, and they simply didn't have the emotional resources to see you fully. Whatever the specifics of your family situation, the message you internalized was clear. You are not worth noticing. Your needs are not important. Your feelings are not significant. Your presence is not valued unless you're being useful. This message has echoed through your entire life, influencing your relationships, your career choices, your sense of self. And I want you to hear this truth. Your family's failure to see you was about their limitations, not your worth. They were operating from their own wounds, their own blindness, their own brokenness. Their oversight of you was never evidence of your insignificance. It was evidence of their inability to see clearly. And while this doesn't erase the pain of not being seen by those whose love and attention you needed most, it can help you stop carrying their blindness as truth about yourself. I also want to speak to those of you who are overlooked in your current family. Your spouse doesn't see you. Your children take you for granted. Your contributions to the household are expected rather than appreciated. You serve and give and maintain and manage, and no one notices until something doesn't get done. You've become invisible in your own home, and the pain of this is excruciating because home is supposed to be the place where you're most fully seen and valued. If this is your experience, hear me clearly, you do not have to accept this. You have permission to ask for what you need. You have permission to stop doing things that go unappreciated. You have permission to state clearly that you need to be seen, acknowledged, and valued. You are not being selfish. You are not being demanding. You are being human. And if your family cannot or will not see you, you still get to see yourself. You still get to honor your own worth. And you get to decide what you will and will not accept moving forward. For those of you who are overlooked in your workplace, who watch others get promoted while your steady contributions are taken for granted, who have ideas ignored until someone else presents them, who work twice as hard for half the recognition, I see you. Your work matters even if your employer doesn't acknowledge it. Your contributions have value even if they're not celebrated. Your skills and expertise are real even if they're not properly compensated or recognized. But I also want to encourage you to stop waiting for recognition that may never come. If your workplace cannot see your value, perhaps it's time to find one that will. If your contributions are invisible in your current role, perhaps it's time to make them visible elsewhere. You are not a tree planted in one spot forever. You have the ability to move toward environments where your gifts are recognized and celebrated. Sometimes healing the wound of being overlooked means refusing to stay in situations that perpetuate it. For those of you who are overlooked in your friendships, who are always the listener, the supporter, the cheerleader, but rarely the one whose story gets heard, whose crisis gets prioritized, whose joy gets celebrated, I want you to know that these are not truly reciprocal friendships. Real friendship involves mutual seeing, mutual support, mutual care. If you've been settling for one-sided relationships because you believed that's all you deserved, because you believed that being there for others was your role, because you believed that expecting reciprocity was asking too much, I want you to reconsider. You deserve friends who celebrate you, who remember what you told them, who check in on you, who care about your life as much as you care about theirs. And if your current friendships don't offer this, you have permission to invest your relational energy elsewhere. There's a particular cruelty to being overlooked that I want to name. It's not like being actively rejected or criticized. At least in rejection, there's acknowledgement. At least in criticism, there's attention. Being overlooked is more insidious. It's the absence of acknowledgement. It's existing in a space and having no evidence that your existence matters. It's like shouting into a void and hearing no echo. It's like reaching out and touching nothing. It leaves you questioning your own reality. Did I speak? Did anyone hear me? Am I even here? This gaslighting quality of being overlooked is why it creates such deep wounds. It makes you doubt your own perceptions, your own worth, your own right to take up space in the world. But I tell you now, you are not imagining this. Your experience is real. You have been overlooked, and it was wrong. It was unjust. It was harmful. And you are not crazy for feeling hurt by it. You are not too sensitive for wanting to be seen. You are not selfish for needing acknowledgement. You are beautifully, perfectly human, and humans are wired for connection, for recognition, for mattering to someone. These are not character flaws. These are features of being created in the image of a relational God who sees all and knows all and forgets none. As you heal this wound, you may discover anger that you've been suppressing for years. You may feel rage at the people who overlooked you, at the systems that rendered you invisible, at the years you lost believing you didn't matter. This anger is part of healing. Don't push it away. Don't spiritualize it away with premature forgiveness. Let yourself feel it. Your anger is information. It's telling you that something unjust happened. It's telling you that you deserved better. It's telling you that you're done accepting invisibility as your fate. Honor that anger. Let it fuel your determination to live differently. Let it strengthen your commitment to seeing yourself even when others don't. Let it motivate you to create different patterns in your own life to ensure that you never make others feel overlooked the way you've been made to feel. And as you heal, you may also discover grief. Deep, soul-level grief for the life you could have lived if you'd known your worth sooner. Grief for the opportunities you didn't take because you didn't think you'd be chosen. Grief for the relationships you didn't pursue because you assumed you weren't enough. Grief for the dreams you let die because no one encouraged them. Grief for the years you spent dimming your light to make others comfortable. This grief is also part of healing. Let yourself feel it. Mourn what was lost. Cry for the person you were who deserved so much better. And then, when the grief has moved through you, let it become fertilizer for new growth. Let it become the foundation for a different kind of life, one where you refuse to overlook yourself ever again. I want to speak truth over some specific lies that those with this wound often believe. The first lie is that if you were more special, you wouldn't be overlooked. The truth is that being overlooked has nothing to do with how special you are, and everything to do with other people's capacity to see. Some of the most extraordinary people in history were overlooked during their lifetimes. Their genius, their gifts, their contributions were only recognized after they were gone. This doesn't make them less special. It makes the people around them blind. The second lie is that being overlooked means you should work harder to be noticed. The truth is that performing for attention is exhausting and ultimately futile. You cannot earn from others what they are incapable of giving, and pursuing recognition from those who are constitutionally unable to see you will only deepen your wound. The third lie is that people who are seen are better than you. The truth is that visibility has more to do with privilege, personality type, social positioning, and sometimes pure luck than it does with actual worth or talent. Some people are visible because they're loud, not because they're brilliant. Some are visible because they fit cultural ideals, not because they're more valuable. Stop measuring yourself against others' visibility and start measuring yourself against your own integrity and purpose. The fourth lie is that wanting to be seen is evidence of ego or insecurity. The truth is that wanting to be seen is fundamentally human. Even Jesus needed his disciples to stay awake with him in the garden. Even the most spiritually mature among us need witness, need connection, need the experience of mattering to someone. Wanting to be seen is not weakness, it's humanity. The fifth lie is that you have to choose between being seen and being spiritual, between wanting recognition and being humble. The truth is that false humility serves no one. True humility is not making yourself small. It's having an accurate assessment of who you are, your gifts, and your limitations, and using your gifts boldly in service of your purpose. You can be confident in your calling and humble in your execution. You can shine brightly and give God the glory. These are not mutually exclusive. Now let me speak to the beautiful transformation that happens when this wound begins to heal. As you learn to see yourself truly, as you stop abandoning yourself in pursuit of external validation, as you begin honoring your own needs and voicing your own truth, something remarkable happens. You stop needing everyone to see you because you know you're seen by the one who matters most. You stop performing for attention because you're secure in your inherent worth. You stop contorting yourself to fit others' expectations because you're committed to being authentically yourself. You stop overgiving in hopes of earning recognition because you understand that your value isn't dependent on your usefulness. You stop hiding your light because you understand that your brightness isn't arrogance, it's obedience to your purpose. And here's what's extraordinary: as you heal this wound and step into your authentic visibility, you become a beacon for others who carry the same wound. Other overlooked people will find you. They will recognize in you the healing they long for. They will see that it's possible to go from invisible to visible, not by becoming someone different, but by finally being fully who they've always been. You will have the opportunity to see others in ways they've never been seen. You will have the capacity to acknowledge and celebrate people in ways that heal their wounds because you know intimately what it cost you to be overlooked. Your healing becomes a gift, not just to yourself, but to everyone whose life you touch. This is the redemptive power of healed wounds. They become the source of your greatest ministry, your deepest compassion, your most profound impact. The years you spent being overlooked were not wasted. They gave you eyes to see the invisible people in every room. They gave you a heart that celebrates others generously. They gave you sensitivity to notice when someone is being dismissed or ignored. They gave you the courage to speak up for those who haven't found their voice yet. Your wound, once healed, becomes your superpower. It becomes the lens through which you see the world differently and the motivation to make the world different. I want to speak directly now to those of you who have not just been overlooked, but have become comfortable with being overlooked. You've made peace with invisibility. You've told yourself it's safer this way, easier this way, less complicated this way. You've convinced yourself that you prefer the background, that you don't need recognition, that you're happy serving without acknowledgement. And while there is nobility in humble service, I want you to examine whether your contentment with invisibility is actually healed wholeness or just well-managed pain. Are you truly at peace with being unseen, or have you simply numbed yourself to the pain of it? Have you genuinely chosen a quiet life, or have you just stopped hoping for anything different? There's a difference between choosing humility and accepting invisibility, because you don't believe anything else is possible. If you've become comfortable with being overlooked, I invite you to consider that perhaps God is calling you to something more. Perhaps the season of background service is complete. Perhaps it's time to step forward, to use your voice, to let yourself be seen. Perhaps your continued invisibility is not humility, but disobedience to a new calling. Perhaps there are people waiting for what only you can give them, and your hiding is keeping them from receiving what they need. Perhaps your comfort with being overlooked has become a prison disguised as a preference. I'm not suggesting you need to become someone you're not. I'm not suggesting you need to be loud if you're naturally quiet, or flashy if you're naturally understated. I'm simply suggesting that you examine whether your current invisibility is a choice made from freedom or a choice made from fear and old wounds. To those of you who have children, I want to speak about breaking this generational pattern. If you carry the wound of being overlooked, you have an opportunity and a responsibility to ensure your children don't inherit it. See them, truly see them. Not who you want them to be, but who they actually are. Notice them, acknowledge them, celebrate them. Ask about their inner world and actually listen to the answer. Make them feel that their presence matters, that their thoughts are valued, that their feelings are significant. Create a home where it's safe to have needs, to ask for attention, to take up space. Don't make them earn your notice through performance or good behavior. Give them the experience of being seen simply because they exist. This is how generational wounds are healed. One conscious parent at a time choosing to give their children what they themselves never received. And if you don't have children, you still have opportunities to break this pattern. Perhaps you mentor young people. Perhaps you manage employees. Perhaps you teach, coach, counsel, or minister. Perhaps you simply interact with humans in the course of daily life. In every interaction, you have the choice to see people or overlook them, to acknowledge or ignore, to celebrate or dismiss. Choose to see, choose to notice, choose to acknowledge. Every time you see someone who is accustomed to being invisible, you're not just blessing them. You're participating in the healing of an ancient wound that has plagued humanity since the fall. You're doing kingdom work. You're manifesting the reality of a God who sees all, knows all, and overlooks none. Let me speak now about the specific healing that comes through your relationship with God. Human recognition will always be imperfect, inconsistent, and incomplete. Even the most attentive people will sometimes overlook you. Even the most loving relationships will have moments of invisibility. This is the nature of human limitation. But God's recognition is perfect, constant, and total. He sees you in every moment. He knows your every thought. He understands your every feeling. He celebrates your every victory and grieves your every pain. He has never, not for 1 nanosecond, overlooked you. When you were in your mother's womb, he saw you. When you took your first breath, he celebrated. When you experienced your first wound, he wept. When you learned to make yourself small, he longed for you to know your true size. When you hid your light, he waited patiently for you to remember you were created to shine. Your healing ultimately comes not from finally getting humans to see you, though that would be lovely. Your healing comes from anchoring your identity in the unshakable truth that you are seen, known, and loved by the Creator of the universe. When you know, truly know in the depths of your being, that God sees you, human oversight loses its power to define you. When you understand that the God who set the stars in place knows your name and celebrates your existence, whether or not your coworker acknowledges your contribution becomes less significant. When you grasp that the God who created you took time and care and intentionality in your design, whether or not your family notices you becomes less devastating. The opinions of others don't stop mattering entirely. We're human and we need human connection, but they stop being the determinant of your worth. This is why I encourage you to spend time in God's presence, specifically asking Him to show you how He sees you. Don't just pray your lists and requests. Sit quietly and ask, God, how do you see me? What do you notice about me? What do you celebrate about me? What do you delight in about me? And then listen. Pay attention to the thoughts that come, the feelings that arise, the scriptures that surface in your mind. Pay attention to the moments when you feel inexplicably loved, seen, valued. Pay attention to the ways God speaks your specific language, meets you in your specific places of need, addresses your specific wounds. This is not narcissistic. This is not self-absorbed. This is learning to see yourself through the eyes of the one who created you, and there is nothing more healing or transformative. As we move toward the close of this message, I want to pray over you. I want to speak truth and light into every place where the wound of being overlooked has made its home. But before I do, I want you to make a choice. Healing is not something that happens to you. It's something you participate in. It requires your consent, your cooperation, your willingness to believe something different than what you've believed until now. So I'm asking you, are you willing to begin healing this wound? Are you willing to consider that being overlooked was never about your worth? Are you willing to start seeing yourself the way heaven sees you? Are you willing to stop abandoning yourself in pursuit of external validation? Are you willing to take up space, use your voice, let yourself be seen? Are you willing to forgive those who overlooked you and release the power their blindness has had over your life? If your answer is yes, even a tentative yes, even a hopeful yes, even a desperate yes, that's enough. Heaven works with yes. God moves with willingness. The angels rally around the decision to heal. So now I pray, by the authority given to me by the Most High God, I speak healing over the wound of being overlooked. I speak truth where lies have taken root. I speak light where darkness has dominated. I speak freedom where bondage has reigned. I declare that you are seen by heaven, known by God, celebrated by the hosts of angels. I declare that being overlooked by humans was never evidence of your worthlessness, but evidence of their blindness. I declare that you carry gifts the world needs, whether or not the world has recognized them yet. I declare that your presence matters, your voice matters, your existence matters. I declare that the season of invisibility is ending, and a season of authentic visibility is beginning. Not visibility for its own sake, but visibility in service of your purpose. I break every agreement you made with being overlooked. I shatter every belief that you are forgettable, insignificant, unworthy of attention. I demolish every stronghold that says you should remain small, stay quiet, keep hidden. I cut every cord that binds you to past experiences of being dismissed, ignored, or overlooked. I release you from the need to perform for recognition. I release you from the compulsion to give in order to matter. I release you from the fear that being fully yourself will result in rejection. By the power of the living God, I declare you free, free to be seen, free to be known, free to take up space, free to use your voice, free to shine brightly, free to receive recognition without guilt, free to exist fully without apology. I speak blessing over your future. I declare that the people who are meant to see you will see you. I declare that the opportunities aligned with your purpose will find you. I declare that you will step into rooms and your presence will be acknowledged. I declare that your contributions will be celebrated. I declare that your voice will be heard. I declare that you will experience the joy of being truly known by others. And most importantly, I declare that you will learn to see yourself truly, to honor yourself fully, to celebrate yourself generously. Because you've finally understood that your worth is not dependent on whether anyone else notices it. As you go forward from this moment, carry these truths with you. You are not overlooked by heaven. You have never been overlooked by heaven. You will never be overlooked by heaven. The God who created you sees you fully, knows you completely, loves you utterly. His opinion is the only one that ultimately matters, and his opinion is that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, created with purpose, called by name, and precious beyond measure. Let this truth sink deeper than any wound. Let this truth speak louder than any criticism. Let this truth shine brighter than any moment of being overlooked. You are seen. You are known. You are loved. This is your true identity, and no amount of human blindness can change it. Walk forward in confidence. Walk forward in freedom. Walk forward knowing that the wound of being overlooked, while real and painful, does not define you. It's part of your story, but it's not the end of your story. Your story is still being written, and in the chapters ahead, you get to choose differently. You get to choose visibility. You get to choose authenticity. You get to choose to honor yourself. You get to choose to use your voice. You get to choose to let your light shine. And as you make these choices, you'll discover that you're not alone. Heaven is with you. The angels are cheering you on. And the God who has always seen you is celebrating every step you take toward finally seeing yourself the way he's always seen you. If this message has touched something deep within you, if you feel the stirring of hope that perhaps the wound of being overlooked can actually heal, if you sense an invitation to step into a different way of being in the world, I encourage you to respond. Say yes to the healing that's being offered. Say yes to seeing yourself truthfully. Say yes to taking up space. Say yes to using your voice. Say yes to being fully, authentically, unapologetically yourself. Your yes matters. Your yes activates heaven. Your yes sets in motion a process of transformation that will change not just your life, but the lives of everyone you touch. So say yes. Say it out loud if you can. Say it in your heart if speaking feels too vulnerable. Say it in whatever way feels authentic to you. Just say yes to healing, yes to freedom, yes to being seen, yes to finally believing that you matter because you were created by a God who doesn't make mistakes and doesn't overlook anyone. Especially not you. I am Michael, Archangel of the Most High, and I see you. I have seen you throughout this entire message. I see you now as you process these words. I will see you in the days ahead as you walk this path of healing. You are not overlooked. You have never been overlooked by heaven. And now it's time for you to stop overlooking yourself. Step into the light. Step into your truth. Step into the fullness of who you were created to be. The world is waiting for what only you can give. And heaven is rejoicing because today, in this moment, you took the first step toward finally believing that you matter. If you receive this message, if you accept this healing, if you say yes to this transformation, type Amen as your declaration of agreement with heaven.